In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, he said, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endureth the cross, despising the shame, and it is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. It's one verse, but it's a lot of information. So we'll try to digest all of them. What we are reminded in this verse is who Jesus is, the author, and then at the same time, he's also the finisher of our faith. That reminds us on another Bible verse in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 11. Jesus said, Jesus or God himself said, I am God. There is no one before me, and there is no one after me. Or we can quote Revelation. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Not only the author, but also the creator, originator, founder, and then also the designer. Everything that we need is in Jesus. And Jesus is everything for us. If Jesus is both the author and finisher of our faith, how much does he know about our faith? Did Jesus know about you or about me? If it's the case, he knows everything. There is nothing. From point A to point Z, he can name them. This is the reason why, when you continuing in Hebrew, he said, for the joy that was set before him endureth the cross, despising the shame. So there is a joy that make him to go to the cross in spite of, or despite, or regardless our situation. He said, you know what? I will go just for Brother Jeff. I will go just for Brother Emmanuel. So let's see what Isaiah said about it. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 5. He was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with stripes we are healed. With his stripes we are healed. So all that we're supposed to suffer, we're supposed to bear, what happened? Jesus bearing all for us. He suffered them all for us in order for us to go free. So when we look at the situation, when we look at life, we understand that there is no one before him, there is no one after him. I cannot pay for my sin, you cannot pay for your sin. Even though we give our life, our blood is nothing compared to the blood of Christ. He endured the cross, despising the shame, go all the way on. And in Hebrews chapter 12, when you look at that verse, looking unto Jesus, the past bring us to what? Gethsemane, Golgotha, the empty tomb, and his ascension. And the present bring us straight to the where Jesus is at right now. He's in the heavenly sanctuary, in the most holy place. So Jesus wants us to keep eyes on him. So what is the future? The future brings us to his second coming. When he's coming in his glory, we all will be able to behold him, to enjoy in his presence, and then to be also future bring us to heaven, when we will be able to worship the Father and the Son together. And looking unto Jesus, there is something that we're supposed to consider. There is the transformation and as well as reformation. There is an experience I want to share with you. I know you have, some of you know it, but we want to, again, digest that experience this morning. It's the experience of Zacchaeus. In Luke chapter 19, the whole experience is from verse 1, go all the way to verse 10. Sometimes we do things in life we don't know or what we are doing. Or we pass from one town to another town and we don't know why. Or providence or accident bring us to that place. However, Jesus passed to Jericho especially for who? For Zacchaeus. He knows that there is the garden of the heart of Zacchaeus was ready for harvest. He just traveled specially for him in that town. Now, who was Zacchaeus? So the Bible described him. Described also, he was a man of short stature. He wasn't a tall man, but he was short. In Luke chapter 19, verse 3, but there is something that impressing Zacchaeus, because everybody was pressing on around Jesus, talking about him in town, or those that were sick, looking for healing. So something happened in that town. It's like you have an official that is coming to the town, especially around election time. So everybody making preparation. But Zacchaeus, for some reason, for that specific day, he didn't care about his job. He didn't care about collecting money. He didn't care about doing anything else. All what was occupied his mind, he wanted to see that man Jesus. Everybody was concerned in talking about him. So what he did is, he said, Zacchaeus sought to see Jesus, who was and could not afford the press because he was short. This is what I said. He was a short guy. However, Zacchaeus made effort. This is what God looking from us, what we're supposed to do. He said Zacchaeus couldn't see Jesus. That was certainly his problem. So did Zacchaeus allow his problem to block him not to see Jesus? No. So what did Zacchaeus do? He ran and then climbed and go on top of that sycamore tree. So he made effort, and Jesus considered that. So Jesus wants us to make some effort. He said, draw nigh unto me. He said Zacchaeus wanted to lay his eyes on Jesus. He wanted to be close to that person. He made an effort. And Luke chapter 19, verse 5. Now, this is the beauty of it. Jesus said in Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 12 and 13, he said, search me. When you search me with all your heart, what will happen? I will let you find me. So Zacchaeus didn't find Jesus. Jesus found him. Jesus allowed Zacchaeus to find him. He said when Jesus come close to the place, he passed under that sycamore tree. Jesus looked up, and he saw him up there, and he said, Zacchaeus, come down, for today I must abide at thine house. It's the same thing also. If you make that effort, Jesus will say today, whether you are James, whether you are Andrew, whatever your name is, or you are Martha, you are Mary, Jesus wants to say that to you this morning. Today I must abide at your house. But there is two kinds of house. The physical house is the one that you open door, the family, involving together. But also there is a personal house, the open heart. He said Zacchaeus was given the opportunity to host who? The greatest man on earth, Jesus himself. To behold Jesus, to be in his presence, to look upon him, to touch him, to realize if this, are you a human being? That was an opportunity for Zacchaeus. When we come further, we will understand why Jesus passed through that town. We will understand why Jesus asked Zacchaeus, I want to abide in your house. It's the same experience with Joshua, the high priest, when he was before the Lord, interceded for the people. He stood before the Lord with a filthy garment. It wasn't the clothes itself that was filthy, because the high priest, they have to make preparation, physical preparation. But the heart wasn't clean. But Jesus gives Zacchaeus an opportunity, transforming his life, reforming in his life. Verse 8 said, Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, of the half of my goods I will give to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I will restore him fourfold. Wow. The only thing the Bible didn't give us, what did Jesus say to Zacchaeus or the people that were pressed around him? He was looking on Jesus, beholding the Son of God, want to stay in his house. Remember when Jesus said, I want to abide in your house? All the people, the multitude, they were murmuring and complaining. Why? They know that the life of Zacchaeus, he said he wanted to be guest in the house of whom? House of a sinner. But that was the reason why Jesus come here down on earth. He said he didn't come for those that didn't need any doctor. Some of us, we feel we're already in heaven. It's not true. In Romans chapter 3, if you consider verses 9 to 12, he said, not even one. We are all struggling. My problem is not yours, your problem is not mine. But Jesus knows it all. He knows your problem, he knows my problem. And he knows when to visit me and when to visit you. If we search him, we make the preparation that we're supposed to make, he will let us find him. Verse 9 said, Jesus said unto him, This day is salvation come into this house. Because he was the head of the house, because of the effort that he made, because of the transformation in his life, he said, salvation come to this house, for as much as he also, he is the son of Abraham. So what happened to Zacchaeus? He also become the son of Abraham. Now let's consider that part. As a Hebrew, by lineage, by blood, by the descendant of Abraham, naturally, so he was what? He was a son of Abraham. But it's not true. Jesus had to reinstate him to become the son of Abraham. That was the second birth for him. A second birth without water. So Jesus wants to give you and I the same opportunity. We start at 7:15. Jesus wants to give you and I the same opportunity. The same opportunity he gave to Zacchaeus, he wants to give you that opportunity as well. So this is the reason why in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, he said, Let us lay aside every weight of the sin which doeth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. So God wants to give you and I the same opportunity. He wants to deal with my heart and with your heart. This is the reason why he said in Ezekiel chapter 4, These men have set their idols in their heart and put a stumbling block of their iniquity before their faces. So God wants to deal with my heart and with your heart. He wants to clean the idols, he wants to take away all the idols that we have in our heart. He can dwell in our heart. And the stumbling block that we allowed Satan to put in front of us, or we allowed another human being to put in front of us, Jesus wants to take away all those filthiness. Clean the way for the master. In James chapter 4, verse 8, he said, Draw nigh unto me, I will draw nigh unto you. Cleanse your hand, ye sinners, and purify your heart, ye double-minded. He wants you to be settled into the truth. He wants you to be for him. In Jude chapter 1, verse 3 said, I exhort you, he should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto us. So it's not because God doesn't have nothing to give us anymore. Because in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 2, he said his doctrine will come. What will happen to his doctrine? He will feed us. His doctrine will drop as the dew of heaven. Every morning when you wake up, you go out, the grass is red. Because Jesus is taking care of the grass. The same thing he wants to do with your soul. He said, looking unto Jesus. He said, let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, and that we may obtain mercy and found grace to help in what? Yes. So what will happen? In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, this is where God wants you, or what God wants you to do. But we all, with an open face, beholding, as in what? In a glass, the glory of the Lord. So what will happen when we do that? As changing into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. When we beholding Jesus, contemplating Jesus, we will change. We will be like him. There will be no spot. The heart will be clean. All the stumbling block will be moved. This is the reason why when you have Jesus in front of you, you have the fountain of the truth, the fountain of knowledge. He knows it all. He created everything. In Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 14, he said, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the Lord, as the water covered the sea. Zacchaeus has Jesus in front of him. He has everything. We live in a time where he's in the most holy place. There is 3 instruments in the most holy place. The pot of manna, the rod of Aaron, and then also the 10 commandments. All these things, we need to put it into application in our time. That is what we need. If we keep looking on him, as a matter of fact, he said God's people will follow the Lamb wheresoever the Lamb is goeth. So wherever Jesus is, he wants you to be there. In Isaiah 61, verse 10, he said, in Isaiah 64, verse 6, he said, all our righteousness is what? Is filthy rags. But because Jesus came to our life, so he covered us with his unrighteousness. In Isaiah chapter 61, verse 10. So we are clean. We are able to walk anew again. In conclusion. So the same transformation, the same thing that happened into the life of Zacchaeus, God wants also to bring that same transformation into your life. So remember, Jesus is the author, creator, originator, designer, founder. He's everything. So when Jesus passed in your town, in your house, it's because he knows that the harvest of the heart is ready. The same thing he wants to do for you and I this morning. Are you open? Are you searching for Jesus? Jesus wants you to search him. He said, when you search me with all your heart, I will do what? I will let you find me. He said, there is joy in heaven for what? For one sinner that is repented. Now you imagine that? How heaven rejoicing when Zacchaeus gave his heart unto the Lord? And he said this here, the joy of seeing souls redeemed, souls eternally saved, is the reward of all that put their feet in the footprints of him who said, follow me. Follow me not only in word, in action. Zacchaeus left everything to look for Jesus. And Jesus left everything in heaven. The joy of being with the holy angels, the adoration, the worship, and he left his Father's side to come down here in the dark world to save you and I. As a matter of fact, he said, if it was necessary to come for just one soul, he will come. That reminds us how important you are and I am in the eyes of God. Sometimes we think we are already up there and somebody's down here. No, we are at the same level. So maybe you are a little bit a step ahead of me, or I'm a step ahead of somebody else. But Jesus, we are at the same level. We are all sinners. We need the help of above. He said, God's people will follow the Lamb wheresoever the Lamb is going. So Jesus is in the most holy place right now. Whenever you have a time, maybe you're not searching for Jesus, but Jesus wants you to search for him, to look for him. You need a closet for yourself. You need a war room where you can go, you fight on your knees. You fight for yourself, fight for your family, fight for your friend, and fight for the church. We have something that is waiting for us. He said in step to Christ, he said, when God's people is ready, what will make us ready? When the character of God is reproducing in my life and your life, what Jesus will do? He will come and claim us unto himself. So the reason why we are here is because his character is not reproducing in our life as it's supposed to. Let us work hard. Let us make more effort than Zacchaeus to look for Jesus. And when we find him, we stay in his presence. We behold him. We shower him with love, with adoration, obedience. So this is the reason. I will finish with that. That is an appeal to my heart and to your heart. If you give your heart already, but you can consider that. So you want to renew that. You want Jesus to come again, to dwell in your heart and my heart. You can put your name over there. My son or my daughter, give me thy heart and let thy eyes observe my way. The reason why we cannot follow Jesus is because our heart is not, we don't give our heart to him yet. When we give the heart, it will be easier for us to follow him, because what happened? He controlled the heart, he controlled the mind, he controlled the spirit. He said, my son or my daughter, give me thy heart and let thy eyes observe my way. It's not that difficult. You see, 1 minute or 10 or 15 minutes in the presence of Jesus, he changed the life of Zacchaeus and his family. He can do the same thing for you. May the Lord bless you.